Yes, now on to ice dance, where there's never any drama at all. No.
Probably my favorite discipline to watch. I don't know as much about ice dance as the other disciplines because I'm usually into like determining GOE on jumps and spins, which there aren't as many of in ice dance, but this was interesting. I think this competition has really shown that the rankings, the world rankings have shifted a bit, and
well, and also they can shift at any time too.
Very true.
Very true. Before watching the Grand Prix final, I consulted. I think you know Erin Conley on Twitter. I always go to her. She loves all disciplines, but she's really knowledgeable about ice dance. She told me that it's going to be based on the levels and how strict the tech collar was, which sounds like they were pretty strict in the short program. It's a little confusing to me because, you know, it's like we're watching and they're all doing well. You look at the protocols, there's a lot of plus GOE, so it's really the tech collar deciding on whether you've hit, you know, all of the bullet points for the levels.
Great.
And although I will say, Gabriella Papadakis and Guillaume CIZERON, out of all the dance teams, made the clear mistake in the rhythm dance.
So, would you want to start with talking about them?
Yeah.
With Papadakis and CIZERON. So, their rhythm dance, they came in here, first of all, as the clear favorites. This is a team that has pretty much won. They have won everything there is to win other than that elusive Olympic title. So they've won the Grand Prix final, I don't know, 3-4 times.
Yeah.
This is just another, you know, everything there is to get. And, you know, I think people here were assuming they were going to get a high 80 score in the rhythm dance, and there would be a runaway gap between them and the second place team. But during their midline step sequence, Gabby had a really clear stumble, almost fell. And another quote I love in skating: you don't fall in ice dance. No. Okay, you don't do it. So that really impacted their levels. First of all, they only got level 2, and their GOE, while they got I think 1 + 3, but it was mostly 0s and 1s. And knowing this team, they're usually getting 4s and 5s throughout. So that was a really heavy hit to their score.
I'm even still questioning the positive GOE they did get. But, you know, I don't judge ice dance.
Papadak, in my opinion, so once again, I am not, I don't feel I'm comfortably knowledgeable enough to, for example, I can't tell always all different key points in real time. So ice dance is harder for me to score in real time. I always have to go back and watch it in slow-mo. So I always feel a little uncomfortable because I feel like in singles, at least, I could say, honey, he was not deep enough in that sit spin. I don't know where you saw level 4 at, but just cut that in half, and I think we can agree. Here it's a little bit harder for me because I have to like stop and be like, ooh, was that edge deep? And that looks like it was a flat, yada yada. But that was a clear mistake in the midline step sequence, and Gabby and Guillaume are much stronger, I think, than the rest of the field as far as skating skills go. Mm-hmm. There is, I think, a clear difference when you watch them on the ice. The size of their pattern, their speed, and just the power, especially with him, with his skating skills. So I do understand why they are winning everything. I do think the difference between them and the other teams, that gap is a bit bigger.
It's like no one can, like, close the gap at all.
And I don't really understand it personally, because when I think of other past teams, for example, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer, who were another legendary ice dance team that only recently retired, I kind of, when I compared them to Papadakis and CIZERON, I think they were a bit stronger, and they never had as much of an insurmountable lead above the rest of the teams in the field. So it's always a bit surprising to me to see that they have such a huge lead. But I will say I love their rhythm dance to fame this season. I obsessed with it. I love the costuming. I love the fact that she's wearing a teal leotard, I think, and the tights. I do wish he would wear some like lavender pants or something, like a little more color for him in the program, but I think it's fantastic. I think it's brilliant that they have the number count playing so they can make sure they stay on time for their amazing. Like,
if I were skating to that program, I would sing out like the numbers, like 1, 2, 3,
same.
4.
absolutely wonderful. But no, for their actual rhythm dance, so they got a level 3, so the fin step, a level 3 for the pattern. And they got their twizzles were both level 4, the stationary left was level 4. So it's always hard for me when I'm talking about this team because I do love their program. I do think they should be above the rest. But a major error like that in ice dance, I think, should have a bigger impact than it did for their scores. It was a bit distracting.
I mean, in a limited scope, it was kind of a huge impact because they were on their way to having a score close to 90.
True,
and it ended up
they
being
did
83.
get that.
Yeah.
That is true. And I was actually pleasantly surprised when I did see their score because I was thinking I would have them around like an 82-ish, but they're probably going to get 85. So when they got the 83, I was pleasantly surprised because I think they were scored properly. With that said, I think that it was right because the rest of the field was so messy for the rhythm dance this time around. And they also, to me, have one of the best patterns, period, of all of the currently competing ice dance teams. I think they do have the best rhythm dance of this season.
I agree.
So I thought the score in the rhythm dance was still a bit high, specifically because of that's mistake on the midline step. It should have, to me, had their GOE at a 0 at highest, maybe a couple of negatives. And the fact that she had a stumble during a footwork sequence and still got +1s and 2s and even a +3. +3 from the French judge, but still a +3. It's like, okay, they're great, but they're not, no one's perfect.
That's right. I kind of liked how the score turned out overall because it made it seem like anyone had a chance for the title. I mean, we all knew that PAPADAKIS and CIZERON, if they went clean in the free dance, that they just get high scores. But the illusion
that at least there's a chance. And also ice is slippery and...
Right? Things happen in ice dance, like major things, as Madison, HUBBELL, and Zachary DONOHUE may tell you. We'll get to them later. But I agree with everything you said about PAPADAKIS and CIZERON. I like their rhythm dance. What I take away most from them is I actually think, even though it's a more fun program, I think that showcases their skating skills a little better, mainly because I'm someone who looks at edges, and Gabby's edges are so deep in the rhythm dance. And I think the free dance showcases their ability to interpret a unique piece of music. They're skating to spoken poetry, which is not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm glad that they at least took the concept and went all the way with it. They didn't just dabble in something offbeat.
I agree 100%. Along with their free dance, I remember when they first debuted it at French Masters and the videos came out, and I was taken aback because voiceovers are something that I think in skating are a very polarizing subject, and a lot of people have very strong opinions against them, and I feel like they can be a little tacky or on the nose. So for a team to go out of the way and do a program entirely of voiceovers with background music, I was thinking, this is ridiculous, this is bizarre, a bit pretentious. But then when they actually performed it, I want to say it was in France, was the next time we got to see it, they had made such smart changes to the actual program. And I had a couple of friends who actually went to the event who just said that the way that the actual poetry was projecting in the arena, it caused like a silence. Everyone was in silence and awe of the team that was playing, that was competing. So I actually think that it's become very effective for them. I do like the free dance now. I think the changes they made. Yes, exactly. It had to grow, and I think they did improve it. And I think that there are, like, my biggest issues right now with the performances they're giving is that they haven't really changed certain lifts positions, particularly the stationary lift, between seasons. And one of the biggest criticisms I think PAPADAKIS and CIZERON get is a lack of versatility as far as their free dances go. I do think that this is a very, very unique concept, and I do reward them for that when I'm like in my own head scoring them. But I do still think they can push themselves a bit more to try new styles in the free dance a bit more. Just because I was comparing it to like the Build a Home program, the Moonlight Sonata, the free dance from last season, and I was like, you are doing different music, different aesthetic. This program does seem to fit you two as performers so well, but I still feel like you are recycling certain movements and certain transitions.
Okay.
And I feel like you can push yourself just a smidge bit more. I feel like we can change the choreography a smidge bit. My biggest issue personally with them has been the stationary lift, because that's something that they get sometimes like +4s and +5s for. And I don't think they have the most difficult positions. Actually, most of their lifts, I think that I think that some of them could require Gabby to use a little bit more for core strength. But in general, this team, especially in the free dance, I think it was a runaway victory. I think that that it was a lot cleaner than it had been actually at Japan as far as the elements go. They got a lower score than they did at HK, which I was a bit surprised by. The scores I still think were a bit inflated, but I think this was actually the best performance of that free dance I'd seen all season. And I think that they are the best ice dance team currently competing. Their team to be, I think they are kind of slated to, the gold is taken by them anywhere they show up to, unless there are major mistakes. And we saw that with the rhythm dance they had, even with such an obvious mistake, they were still ahead of the rest of the field. So I just wish that also the judges might score them a little bit more. I don't them reflections to the rest of the field, because they got 10s across the board for interpretation, 10s across the board for composition, a 9.96 in performance. I don't think that they have nowhere left to grow. I think they have a little room left in them to grow, but I don't think the scores are reflecting that. And I hope that the judges will start to say, like, okay, this is a really amazing performance and this is fantastic, but is this perfection? Is this what we see as perfection? And do we think this team can't grow anymore? Because I think giving somebody a 10 in performance is telling that this is all we need in the sport. This is all we're looking for in the sport. And I don't know. I really, it's kind of weird for me to say it this way, because their free dance to me was kind of above and beyond the rest of the field as far as all the qualities go. But the scoring is once again kind of like, I think this is a bit too high for what they're doing on the ice.
I may be naive and optimistic thinking this way, but I still think there's room for surprises at the top of ice dance later on this season. People are giving me the side eye right now, and I can't exactly put it into words, but I just have a feeling. But clearly this was a battle for the silver medal. I'm super happy for Madison, CHOCK, and Evan Bates of the United States. I actually did not think they would get the silver medal here, because if you looked at their 2 Grand Prix assignments this season, they had lower, not overall like free dance scores, but also lower PCS marks compared to everyone else in the field. So they pulled it together, and I think they had some of the more exciting performances between both like rhythm dance and free dance here.
Agreed. So like with Madison and Evan, I think they worked really hard to clean up some of the elements in the rhythm dance, because that's where they were losing a bulk of their points. They already had the second highest free dance score of the season coming here to this event. And when I was trying to figure out my fantasy rankings, I didn't know where to put them, because I really thought that when you're putting them against PAPADAKIS and CIZERON, I was thinking they could be 6 in the rhythm dance and 2nd in the free dance, and it really depends on how everyone else does between. But in the past, I think sometimes Maddie, she sometimes struggled with having the deepest edges and having the clearest edges. So when you would have the pattern, there'd be times where Evan would maybe have like a level 4 step sequence, while she would have a level 2 or a 1. So that was something that I think she has worked on a lot the last couple of years. I wasn't the biggest fan of their programs back when they were working with Igor. They did, I think, an American in Paris. I think they did Imagine, a John Lennon program. But last season, they had the Assassin's Tango rhythm dance and the, I think, Elvis Presley free dance, where I just fell in love with this team. And I was worried about what they would do this season. I was worried about what they would present this season. And I have mixed opinions on their free dance specifically. Well, also the rhythm dance. The rhythm dance, I think it's Kiss Me Kate. She's wearing the pink dress. It's nice. I like it. I think she's a showgirl. I honestly think Madison is a star, and she is to showcase. And I think Evan's a really great supportive partner. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a pair boy in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where I don't think he's as much of the diva per se, but his skating skills are so great, and he has, like, getting her into those lifts, it's no problem at all for him. And she hits some of the most beautiful positions in her lifts and some of the most intriguing positions in her lifts. They have the one where she, like, wrapped around his arm and she's just, like, looking out in the audience, and her flexibility is absolutely the ideas that they come up with for those lifts out of this world. They have a pretty good spin. I think, once again, their choreographic spin movement where she kind of, like, twirls her around when she's doing a camel spin at the opening of the free dance, wonderful. So as far as the lifts, this team, I think, has the strongest lifts of the event. I think they had some of the best spins, along with Gilles and Poirier. I think those two, for me, were the top two spins. But the free dance, I know you probably talked with Brahim about this in the last video. Yeah, so the twizzles.
They did not need to be that abstract with the hands.
Yes. I think it's just... I'm trying to find the best way to word this.
Let me tell you what I think of that free dance. You
Please.
know what? I like it. I don't love it. It's good for them. It's a very cohesive piece because some other dance teams have some really random cuts and takes for their programs. I don't think it elevates them to the next level, which they really need now or sometime soon, but they do it well.
Agreed. And I think that especially, like, I'm not sure personally if I'm sold on Evan seducing the snake yet at Madison. I think he is working on his individual expression quite a bit, and they are trying to kind of have them be this, like, charismatic, powerful man during the performance.
I need to give him a glow up because I'm just not physically seeing it. Madison can help him.
Yes, and I think that's what kind of confused me with the program, because she's the snake, so he's the snake charmer. He's supposed to be seducing her, I believe, and I'm being seduced by her throughout the program.
Me too.
So I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm not sure if you got the story that you wanted, but I'm intrigued by what I'm seeing here. Mm-hmm. I also thought that the twizzles were a bit slow. I think because they're doing the...
I don't think they ever had the best twizzles, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then they're getting in the free dance, they got +3s and +4s for it. So I was like, okay, this seems a little high for these. But I do think that they looked to work quite a bit to make sure they could they get those key points in the rhythm dance. And they were third going into the free dance. And that really helped them because their free dance have been great all season. Like, they've been getting, the judges have been reacting really well for their free dance. And I do think that is the more intriguing program of the two, even if I have my own hesitations with some of the themes of it and some of the implications of it. It is, I think, the stronger program, and I haven't really thought too deeply of how I felt with the rankings here. I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't upset about it whatsoever, and I think they have improved. I think that she especially has improved in her skating skills, which I think has always been the glaring weakness thing of them as a team is that he was kind of clearly stronger. He has clearly stronger skating skills. And I still do think in the free dance,
she has a ways to go still.
In the first portion, I feel like he's kind of carrying her, and it's supposed to be a unit, so I can't really just depend on him to be skating. But I think that they have improved leaps and bounds in the last 2 years alone. And I think they have a good shot. If they keep on, keep their momentum, they have a good shot of taking that national title in 4 weeks.
And it works for this team. I think we talk about this in pairs, and it's hard to say clean in ice dance because I think it's more like get your levels, don't make a horrible mistake. But Madison, CHOCK, and Evan Bates have benefited time and time again from being from having solid skates when everyone else makes errors. That's how they won 4 continents. And
Agreed.
Other competitions against HUBBELL and DONOHUE, who are great ice dancers, but who are known for making big flops on really important elements.
Agreed. And I also think that a big difference between this, I believe we're probably going to be talking about them very soon.
Let's go into it.
I think with Madison and Evan, the packaging between the programs has been pretty good over the last couple of years, the last couple seasons. While Madison and Zach, the last couple of seasons, they have, to me, actually gone down in quality.
Actually, yeah, it used to be like, I want to say 3-ish years ago, I felt like, man, this is a team that year and year after year, they choose some unique, great pieces of music. You know, it may take some time to get into, but you eventually get there by worlds. And then,
100%.
Like, last season and this season, it's like, oh, who approved these choices?
Exactly.
Oh, and I do have an unpopular opinion.
Please.
So people are going to kill me on Twitter. I don't like either of their program choices. I like them better here at the Grand Prix final. I don't know what about it. Even My Heart Belongs to Daddy in the rhythm dance, that's kind of awkward to say and hear, but it wasn't as glaringly awkward at the Grand Prix final as it was at Skate Canada. And, you know, the small changes to the A Star is Born free dance did work for me, and I think I saw them sell it a little more than they did earlier in the season in their first 2 Grand Prix. So that's my unpopular opinion.
I'm going to co-sign on that opinion. I think that they have made some smart improvements. First, the dress.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The first dress I had, I believe Maddie's mother had sewed it for her. And
the white one?
Yes, the white one. The white one, the drop waist. And Madison, like, all ice dancers are gorgeous. Like, let's just, get this out of the way here. But Madison is so freaking, like, shredded. She is so strong.
She's muscular.
Yes. When you see her, there's a couple of videos where you can see, especially at Nationals, you can see them working out in the background, and you'll just see her doing a couple of just like twizzle exercises, and she'll just be there with, like, her sleeveless top with her guns blazing. And I was just looking at the dress, and it was doing nothing for this, like, super powerful, beautiful woman. I'm like, you cannot cover that up. Like, it was just, the cut of it didn't work for me, the white dress. And My Heart Belongs to Daddy, I don't understand why they couldn't just go Smash. Yeah. Like, just go all Smash. Smash was a great show. It had great music. I wish it wasn't canceled. Why did we have to add My Heart Belongs to Daddy? Who thought this was a good idea? Like, and he's being Joe DiMaggio, right? Like, that's why he had the basketball jersey and the rhythm dance. Unpopular opinion on my part, I actually thought it was really fun and a bit quirky when she came in wearing the white jacket.
I didn't see that.
Oh,
I read about it though.
She came in wearing the faux white fur jacket just to kind of get the crowd involved. I think the actual program, they focused a bit less on projecting in my opinion, almost cringy acting, like we're overly romantic and overly lovey, and it didn't really feel authentic to me. I think they kind of toned it down a little bit and then focused more on the powerful skating skills and the deep edges and, the great distance that they can both achieve. And I think that really helps them. It helped them in the rhythm dance, and with the free dance, what I find so strange is that I think this is music that should work for them. This should be perfect for them. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's the cuts. Just nothing. Okay, I think
the voiceovers.
Yeah, I thought they were going to cut the voiceover, so I was a bit disappointed when I heard them. I think they did make some good changes. They changed a couple of their lifts. I think they replaced, like, one of their, I want to say their stationary lift or rotational lift. That I have to actually look at the protocols again to remember which. But they did make a few changes that I think were effective. But when they were doing the Star is Born program, and they're going to the chorus of Shallow, there's one point where they're doing like this straight line lift, and it's not really fitting the music perfectly. They're missing a couple of the musical accents, and I'm like, you are skating to Shallow, guys. Like, this needs to be all drama all the time. I'm not the biggest fan of the free dance dress, the black one. I'm not really the cut in the front. I'm not really big on it, and I don't love her hair in it. Like, I think it's supposed to be like a little bit loose and a little bit because the first half of the music is a little more rock and roll. It was a little
distracting at some point.
Yeah, like I feel like they could maybe try a couple more looks. I can get someone like maybe make Martin and they can figure out how can we convey something that's very free and wild, but still keep it presentable. But all in all, I do give them kudos because at the beginning of the season, it really looked like they were going to drop quite a bit in the rankings. They were getting scores below teams that they had never scored lower than before. And I think they worked hard over the last, 4 or 5 weeks, and they came here and they got a bronze medal. And I think great job for them.
That's right.
I think they're going to have to work really hard, though, to beat CHOCK and Bates at U.S. Nationals, because I think they've kind of lost a bit of favor with the judges at this point.
The momentum has switched, I think.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that the CHOCK and Bates have stronger programs. I do think that Maddie and Zach are better skaters. Yeah. And like when you take them both into consideration, they are the stronger skaters. But the performers, I give that to CHOCK and Bates. And then competitors, at this point, I give it also to CHOCK and Bates. I think they're a little bit... they don't always let... I think sometimes with Hubbell and Donohue, when they make major errors, the rest of the program gets really, really sloppy.
Oh, yeah.
And with CHOCK and Bates, it doesn't happen as often. Now, CHOCK and Bates do have the ability to, like, lose a complete element or both fall during a lift, or unfortunately that's what happened during the Olympics. They do have the ability to make these huge mistakes, but I feel like they keep it together a little bit more throughout the program than Hubbell and Donohue. So it's going to be interesting to see between stronger skaters and stronger performers compete against each other. But I really hope they revisit these programs a little bit more. I really hope they get rid of the My Heart Belongs to Daddy and make it all smash. And I hope that in the rhythm dance they figure out these cuts, take out the voiceovers, and figure out a story that really like connects with the judges.
Because they are good storytellers when they're given the right materials.
But I don't think this is it.
No. And the last thing I will add about Madison and Zach is I agree with everything you said. I've said in the past that they're better than the programs they have now. They're better skaters. That being said, they're amazing athletes. I don't think they're the kind of dance team that's always hitting a perfect position. Because some people on Twitter are shady and they catch like a screen capture. And, you know, not all of them will look great, but they're on their way to looking great. So that's the one thing maybe that's separates Madison and Zach from like maybe Gabriella and Guillaume or Tessa and Scott in seasons past.
Agreed. I think the sad things for me with Maddie and Zach is that this is a team that I always thought that they should be number one in the world. They have the goods. They have the ability. They have the strength. They do have a performance quality and a star quality and a confidence on the ice. But they need to get better material. I really think they need better material. And I'm not sure if it's too late in the season to really revamp the programs, but we'll see.
Yeah. Moving on, shall we talk about the Russians, Alexandra, Stepanova, and how do you say, is it Ivan Bukin?
Bukin, yes, Ivan Bukin.
So this is interesting for a few reasons. One, that they're in 4th place. Second is that they're the top placing Russians here, because the way the season was going earlier on, it seemed like the judges were ready to reward Victoria and Nikita, also from Russia, with the silver medal just by showing up.
Exactly. No, I think this is why I thought Ice Dance was so exciting, because I think we've actually seen a swap of the number 1 into American team and a bit of a swap of the number 1 into Russian team. I was also shocked that we didn't have either Russian team on the podium this year. I don't think that we've had that in... I can't even remember the last time we haven't really had a competitive Russian ice dance team. Well, not competitive, but they're all obviously competitive, but not like in the medal positions. No, with Stepanova and Bukin, I really... The first thing I love about them is their twizzles. I think they have some of the best twizzles of the whole event, especially their sit-spin twizzles.
Yeah, I think that's technically called a choreographic sequence twizzle, which that's really impressive. It's
so incredible, because even just getting into a sit position for a spin can be hard, but to do that for a whole twizzle sequence, and they get so low into it, and there's a great speed with it. Obsessed with it. I think they are one of the few teams that's, they open with their twizzle sequence. And I think that's because the twizzles are probably their most comfortable elements, which I think they have just great synchronization. I think they had pretty good speed with them, and they didn't look wild. I think sometimes with certain teams that they try and prioritize speed over control, and then some are the other way around. I think that happened, like for me with CHOCK and Bates. they had really controlled positions in their twizzles, but they lack speed. While with KATSALAPOV and SINITSINA, with Nikita and them, they had quite a bit of speed. But Nikita has this really bad habit of kind of losing control in the twizzles. So I think they have a great balance. They strike a great balance with them. I really do like their lifts as well, and I like their spin positions. I think that between the two Russian teams, they definitely have weaker skating skills than KATSALAPOV and SINITSINA. And I think it still does show a bit in their programs. I think they need a bit more speed as well as an ice dance team. I couldn't really tell this much. I actually thought the camera angles, at least for the ISU stream, weren't ideal for determining.
They weren't for the NBC stream either.
Oh, it just, I was getting a little confused. I was getting a little frustrated because I'm like, oh, this is not how I should be watching skating right now. This is not how I'm doing skating. But I tried to watch a couple of fan cam videos. I was like, okay, they have okay speed, but it could be better. I think there's both of their skating skills could improve a little bit. This might be an unpopular opinion. I really like her dress for the rhythm dance, the Moulin Rouge, with the swooped hair. I kind of dig it.
I think that's a popular opinion, actually.
Because I know some people who thought it was a bit too much, but
vocal minority.
I was really feeling it. I'm usually more critical of all black outfits in the free dance, but I think it fits for them. They're doing the Primavera mixed with Crimea River, Justin Timberlake there. And also, I think this is just like the sexy team. I think that they know it. I think that's what they sell for their aesthetic in both programs. They make out at the end of the rhythm dance. I think that they've really found a style that fits to them, but they, especially in the free dance, they struggle to get those levels. I think they were getting level 2s and in their step sequences. And
I enjoy watching them a little more, though. Maybe that's because I can have, not so sophisticated taste sometimes, but I love their programs. Whenever I think of them, I like to think of them as the slightly more edgy, dynamic Russian ice dance team with, I think they take more risks with their music choices. Crimea River for the free dance is my everything because I was obsessed with Justin Timberlake in middle school.
I'm totally new. I already had it in my heart. You were a Justin fan. Of course you're a Justin fan.
Of course, all Justin fans. So, but it was nice to see the switch up. Did you also enjoy the Canadians, Piper and Paul?
I love them. They are skating to Joni Mitchell for the free dance. And I love that musical choice. I remember seeing them at ACI, and I wasn't originally, I think I was a bit hesitant to fall in love with this program because I thought Vincent was, their free dance from last season, the Vincent program was just so top notch. And I just was, nothing is going to compare to what they did last season.
That might be true.
And honestly, Vincent was something that was really versatile, and they took the real life story of Vincent Van Gogh and the painting a Starry Night.
The dress was perfect.
Absolutely fit the program absolutely perfectly. But this program really, it brought me to tears when I saw it at Skate Canada. And I don't know, it's just, when they went into their twizzle sequence, I think their second set of twizzles had really, really good synchronization, and they could use a bit more speed when they were going into it. But I think they were high quality elements. They have one of the most intriguing entrances into their pair spin, and her position, she goes into the half bailman, and they get great speed. Most people, when they try and do a spin together, it's a bit slow, it's a bit awkward. We saw this a lot in the pair division. Even the best athletes aren't always able to do those combined pair spins together. And I know a lot of athletes, when I talk to them, say that's their least favorite element. But they have one of the most beautiful combined spins, I think, of the whole event. I think they need to clean up their footwork a bit in the diagonal step sequence especially. But they do have really great flow and just general glide of the ice, and it almost feels like they're floating on the ice. And I sometimes feel like their scores aren't reflecting that quality accurately. I feel like you see it and you're like, okay, they're scoring well, but when I see them as a pair, as a team together, I'm like, you're bringing something new to the discipline that I'm not seeing enough of in the sport. And I also like the fact that they seem to focus on like non-romantic and non-sexual love, if that makes sense. Like I feel like, they, you know,
it's like still a passion, but not necessarily like romance.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason that's one of the things I really love about PAPADAKIS and CIZERON as well with their programs. Is that I don't think they've ever, for me, had a program that trying to sell them as a couple, which I get. Yeah. But they're able to still convey a strong relationship between the two of them without always having to go to we're boning in the background, which I do not. Virtue and Moyer, right? Stepanova and Bukin. Yeah, right. Please never change. I'm not hating you for it. We need a little bit of sex appeal and ice
Bring
dance.
We're adults here watching. Come on.
Exactly. But I really did enjoy the fact that they chose a really beautiful piece of music. I think that was the music for the Olympics, right? That was the for Vancouver. I think Joni Mitchell's music was the theme of the Vancouver Olympics, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I was really feeling Gilles and Poirier again. I kind of wish they were high ranked a bit.
I will say, I wish they performed the free dance as well as they had at Skate Canada, because that was a moment. I was there live in person, and even rewatching that competition, I was like, wow, that was great. There's just a little something missing here. Great overall still, and I think the main thing they have to work on, especially by looking at the protocols, the levels, because a lot of people had them for the bronze medal position here.
Same. No, I had no idea what was going on. I was in between to get bronze, I could get silver, but they ended up coming in fifth, right? I believe, fifth, correct. So, you know, I think they have a little bit, which is very impressive. And they were sixth. Not only were they sixth in the rhythm dance, but third through fifth were all 81. So they had a little bit of work to do because they were around the 79s for the rhythm dance. Mm-hmm. So I do think that they made up quite a good bit of ground in the free dance, but they can't afford to be 2 points back in ice dance because a lot of these skaters end up getting very similar technical scores, other than PAPADAKIS and CIZERON, of course, but they're usually going to be the high 60s, very low 70s for at least like 6 or 7 groups at Worlds, and it comes down to PCS, and even then, people are in a pretty close corridor.
Yeah.
But they're the clear number 1 Canadian team right now. I think that they
you never know that.
Locked in.
Because Caitlin and Andrew, I think they might compete at Canadian Nationals.
I did hear about that. I was wondering, are they coming back for international competition as well, or just coming to, just try it out and poke their toe in the water? But if they do come back, I like when people have a national rival. I think that really helps people grow a little bit. They're motivated a little bit more. And instead of just being like, oh, I'm going to see this person at Worlds. Oh, I might see them at 4 continents or Euros.
Don't make it easy for the national champion.
Yeah, have them compete against them day in and day out. I also think this is something. Gilles and Poirier are one of the few teams, North American teams, who was at the top that aren't trained by Mary France. Well, actually, one of the few teams, period, that aren't in that Mary France. No matter the continent. Exactly. So I think I do think we see a little bit of a unique flair to their programs because they're not at a school where there has to be dozens of programs produced every season.
And then really with the Marie France team, it's like, how much attention is each team getting, really? Exactly.
And I always wonder, is it something where she's focusing more on those newer teams that need a bit more guidance, on those developing teams, those younger teams or teams from smaller countries that would need somebody to tell them, okay, this is the music we're going to use, these are the dresses, we're going to practice this for 30 minutes, this for 20 minutes, or is she putting most of her time into the very top teams that are going to bring home the medals? I really don't know. I would assume that a team like PAPADAKIS and CIZERON might be a little bit more independent and they might have more input in what they do season to season. They even seem to kind of know, okay, we're not going to do a challenger, so we're just going to go to the NHK, we're going to go to French Masters. I don't know, but they have done some really great work with some of these teams. Fionn Gibson of Great Britain has really soared up there in the rankings. Wengan Liu of of China have also really gone up there, and they have, to me, one of the best rhythm dance, their Chaplin program. But I mean, Gilles and Poirier, I think they fought in the free dance and they did what they could. Their scores aren't, it's not ideal to be as far as they were. I think they were, what, 6 points off the podium, something like that. But
I'm showing a 3-ish, 3 to 4 in the total score.
3 to 4 in the total score. In ice stance, that is a little bit, it's not ideal. You know, you want to be maybe half a point off, so then you can just kind of depend on cleaning up a couple of levels or getting higher GOE. But we did, like, what they did at Skate Canada was a dream. And I think if they perform that way in the future, they could be podium contenders easily.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say on Victoria and Nikita, the Russian dance team who finished in 6th? Because I have my own personal notes, and it just said, not feeling it, can't pinpoint why. And I'm still trying to think of why.
Okay, I'm just going to be kind of blunt about this. I hate both their programs this season. I hate both of them. I think they're doing Sing in the Rain for the rhythm dance, and then I don't even know what music they're doing for the free dance. It's not, also, I always want to make it clear, it's not that I hate the music for these people. Like, there's sometimes I love music outside of the program, but Nikita, in my opinion, is a little wild. He needs something that has speed and drama, and something that can complement his strengths as a skater. And Victoria, to me, is someone who she is so good at just kind of changing to whatever is necessary to fit the program. Like, she's a bit of a chameleon in ways, I think. I feel like, and I just almost hit myself with a pencil. I think their coach actually had an interview where they talked about the fact they chose this music so they could reel Nikita in a little bit, because he had the tendency to get so energetic that he would be falling out of a twizzle, or he would be falling out of the spins, or he would like trip over himself during the footwork sequences. So they decided to go with music that was a bit slower and a bit softer in order to make sure that he could focus on cleaning up the elements. Instead, I feel like they gave a team that I think already struggled with boring programs, performing to boring programs, a very boring program. Secondly, during their lifts, Nikita seems to always be shaking. Like, I'm not sure if you saw it during one, I think it was I want to say it was a straight line lift, but when he tries to get her up in the air, he is like, you can even see his edge actually start to shake. It doesn't look secure. And I'm just like, it was just like, oh my, she's not that, it's not, it shouldn't, I don't think it should be that much of a struggle. Yeah, she's very slight, obviously. And Nikita is a strong, like, he's strong, like, he's muscular. So seeing that shakiness, to me, already, it's going to be docking up the quality, because you want to see effortless, an effortless glide with their lifts. And if someone is shaking while holding up their partner, that's not effortless. Their rotational lift really didn't cover that much ice. And just generally, they struggled to get the levels. I was watching that performance, and I was wondering, like, I don't know if the tech panel really can do anything for them.
And you're focusing on the tech. I'm just focusing as like a casual ice dance viewer. And I'm like, I'm just not feeling any of this. And that makes sense where they're trying to reel Nikita in, because sometimes I feel like he's wanting to come out of the program, and in a very forced way that wouldn't work.
Yeah. And also, am I the only one who was a little bit confused with the smiling at times? Like, it felt like some of the like expressions on their faces did not fit the music, and I almost felt uncomfortable with it, when I'm like, you're not trying to make me uncomfortable. If that was your intention, I would respect it, but I think I'm supposed to be feeling maybe joy, exuberance. No, I'm not getting that from that. I'm getting kind of snoozy and a little uncomfortable.
I don't think it's just you.
Okay. I'm happy to hear that, because I was like, am I being a little too hard on this team? Because I do think that they are very talented skaters. I think that they actually have some of the strongest skating skills outside of in this field, at least. They're up there with HUBBELL, DONOHUE, and PAPADAKIS and CIZERON as far as their basic skating skills. And they do have great speed, but the program's a miss. It's a complete miss. And when you have like already a program that I personally am not enjoying, I'm going to want you to be technically spotless. Yeah. I'm going to want to say, okay, at the very least, if you execute everything to a higher level, you can make up some of those points in GOE. But they weren't doing that. And I don't think they gave the tech panel really any room to put them on the podium, let alone to even have them higher up in the rankings. I think 6th place was more than fair for them with the performance they gave in the free dance. It was just messy. It was messy, and
yeah. Well, they were very close to being, you know, a top international dance team, you know, in prior seasons. So I don't think the potential is fully gone.
Not at all.
Going to take some strategy and some reworking next season to get them back in that position.
And I think that even with this program, if they do work a little bit on their expressions and they work a bit on adding some choreographic new like little like accents to the music, like just the physicality, it doesn't seem to match the music to me. Yeah, like it just seems like the actual program they're skating to. Maybe I'm just not getting it. Yeah. Maybe I'm just not getting the points, and I'm completely open to admit that. But it just. It's kind of to me some snoozy music, and the performance feels almost like a show choir that's taught to have jazz hands and smile, and it doesn't feel like elite level competitors. So
if you're watching this video and you get the program, comment down below and let us know what we're missing.
Please, I'm open to any comments or just explanations.